Breaking news. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has officially submitted to Donald Trump's administration, ending years of defiance, sanctions, and diplomatic isolation. What began as a standoff between Caracas and Washington has now turned into a dramatic political surrender that could reshape Latin America's balance of power. For weeks, tension in the Caribbean had reached a boiling point. American warships, aircraft carriers, and nearly 5,000 troops had taken positions just miles from Venezuela's coast. Intelligence reports confirmed that the U.S. was tightening the pressure, not just economically, but militarily. And now, Maduro, once a fiery critic of the United States, has agreed to a new deal reportedly offering American companies access to Venezuela's oil and gold in exchange for security guarantees and a safe passage out of the country. According to sources close to the negotiations, Maduro made the decision after several of his top generals defected and growing protests erupted across major Venezuelan cities. The army, weakened and divided, could no longer hold the line, and with Russia and China distancing themselves from his government, the Venezuelan leader had no choice but to yield. This marks a stunning turnaround. Remember, just a few years ago, Maduro vowed that Venezuela would never bow to foreign powers. He blamed the U.S. for crippling sanctions and accused Washington of trying to orchestrate a coup. Yet, in the end, it was the pressure from the U.S. naval buildup and the isolation from his own allies that forced him to bend. Now, as Trump's administration declares, "Mission accomplished," the world watches to see what comes next. Will Venezuela finally transition into a democracy or simply become another American ally reshaped by external power? For millions of Venezuelans who've endured hunger, inflation, and mass migration, this moment feels both historic and uncertain. But the struggle in Venezuela didn't start this year. It's been decades in the making. Since the fall of Hugo Chavez, the country's socialist experiment began collapsing under corruption, mismanagement, and sanctions. Oil wealth once fueled prosperity, but when prices crashed, so did the nation's economy. What followed was hyperinflation, shortages, and years of political repression. Maduro inherited a broken system and tightened his grip through force, blaming the West for every crisis while enriching his inner circle. So even though this surrender might mark the end of one chapter, the story of Venezuela's struggle is far from over. The people now stand at a crossroads, between rebuilding their nation or repeating the same cycle of power and poverty.